Welcome back to Guardian Football. We're going to be looking forward to the very best of La Liga, as we do every week, of course, and it doesn't get much bigger this weekend than Valencia versus Atletico Madrid, the champions, on Saturday afternoon. We're also going to prepare to say goodbye to a Barcelona favourite who looks like he's going, and also say well done to someone from the south who's got himself a tidy little pay rise. Now, all eyes on the Mestalla this weekend, where Atletico Madrid, the champions, roll into town. And even though Valencia have started the season very, very strongly, it's clear that this is going to be their biggest test so far. And certainly defensively, where they've only conceded 3 goals to date, but 2 of those have been from set pieces. And the alarm bells are going to ring, because we know that's where Atletico are strongest from. They scored 24 goals from set pieces last season. And as we can see from this Prozone graphic, they've scored 9 from 11 so far this season from set plays too. And even though the goal against Juventus that won the game in the Champions League in the week was from open play, it was a cross into the box from Juan Fran to Arda Turan. So it's clear that Valencia and their new defence, which will probably consist of Shkodran Mustafi and Nicola Otamendi in the middle, will have to be vigilant. Now, after their defeat in the Champions League to Bate Borisov this week, it really is crunch time for Athletic. They're experiencing a pothole of confidence, as Marca said, and there are a lot of concerned voices at the San Mamés. They're already discussing it on the flight back from Belarus, and in fact Ernesto Valverde and his staff discussed it in the airport before they even left to go home, and there was no day off for the Athletic players afterwards. They went straight into Lezama, which is the Athletic training ground, to have a bit of a discussion about what was going wrong. Even if they've made a few little corrections, and in recent weeks they've tried dropping Oscar de Marcos and Beñat, who we talked about a little while ago, from the starting lineup, it's clear that any changes might have to wait until after this weekend, because they've got a very, very difficult game, as hard as it gets, at the Bernabeu against Real Madrid on Sunday night. Now, epochal news, not perhaps the biggest surprise from the Camp Nou, with Dani Alves talking to Global this week and saying that he'll be leaving Barcelona at the end of the season after 7 seasons there and after 13 seasons overall in La Liga, and that England will be his destination. No news on the club yet, but nevertheless, the end of an era for Barcelona. They're already planning for the future. Of course, we saw Douglas, the Brazilian replacement for him at right back, making his debut at Malaga a couple of weeks ago. But Dani Alves is still really important. He had more touches than anyone else in the 6-0 win against Granada last weekend, and I think he's going to be important at Rayo Vallecano this Saturday as well. A game, of course, where Barcelona had less possession than the host and didn't score last season. Yes, that's right. Carlos Bacca has received a reportedly 40% pay rise this week. The rest of the terms of his contract remain unchanged. He still runs till 2018, and it's still got a buyout clause of 30 million euros for those interested parties, of which there are plenty, I'm sure. But he really deserves it. He's led the line with great aggressiveness and great personality since arriving from Club Brugge, and scored a lot of goals too, of course. And he's going to be really vital this weekend. They received quite a belting last week against Atletico at the Calderón. That showed that they weren't really title challengers despite being up there, but they are still in the mix for this 4th place and the Champions League spot. And they and Bacca will try and get back on track this weekend with a home game against Deportivo La Coruña. Now, in the Madrid suburbs, Getafe, who are discussing the possibility of a Middle Eastern takeover, have a big weekend ahead of them. It'd be even bigger if they hadn't beaten Malaga last week. If they'd have lost to Malaga, they'd be bottom of the table at the moment. They do face the team at the Coliseum, who are bottom of the table, Cordoba, coming up from Andalusia. And Getafe really need to cash in this time, there's no doubt about that. They've only got 3 goals so far this season, and that's where they need to start improving. And a lot of eyes on Baba. Of course, he scored goals in the Portuguese Liga for Marítimo before. Not a great spell at Sevilla. This is the point where he can really kick on and establish himself in La Liga. So that's it for this week. Those are my talking points. Tell me yours. What are you looking forward to the most? There's a comment section below to get involved. Tell us what you think will happen in Valencia versus Atletico. A huge game this weekend. Don't forget, elsewhere on Guardian Football, we've got James Horncastle on Italy, Julien Laurent on France, and Ralf Honigstein on Germany. So get involved with those. Click to subscribe, and we will see you back here next week to look at the best of the action.